Uh, Personally, I think that they were cheating like 400%.
Hey guys, and welcome to my channel, Time Has Been a Window. Now, recently there have been a lot of cheating allegations brought up against a team called AKUMA. Now, in my last video, I analyzed some of the suspicious clips looking for any evidence of wall hacks or aim locks. Now, in those clips, no evidence was found, but I am breaking this up into a two-part series, and here I'll be showing some new clips and talking about if they could have possibly been using a radar hack or using the GoTV to ghost. But before we get into that, let me talk about a few other issues with the entire situation. Now, from the beginning, this tournament has had some issues. In one of the early Akuma matches, there was a DDoSing issue. But it wasn't the only occasion of this, and there was actually multiple throughout other matches. What's even worse is the GoTV had no delay on any of the matches. Now, because of this alone, I believe the entire event should be replayed. And to make matters even worse, there was no anti-cheat for this event. So you can understand why top teams would be so suspicious of an up-and-coming team doing so well here.
These guys, do you think they were just good for this event, or do you think that there's something a little bit untoward that's happened here?
Uh, Personally, I think that they were cheating like 400%.
So with such a notable coach saying that they were cheating, as well as top players like Simple talking about them cheating, people are definitely going to take notice. But there are a couple questions here. One of which is, why would they use a radar hack if the GoTV has no delay? The other is, how can a pro tournament be run so poorly? Seriously, no anti-cheat and no GoTV delay, that's pretty ridiculous. Alright, so why is the radar hack allegation even here? It's because of situations like this, where you can see Surge here, I'm gonna call him Surge, keeps looking over to the top left side of his screen, where it just so happens the radar should be. Now, rounds like this one really aren't that suspicious, and that is mainly because his teammate is alive, and even though they are trying to save their guns and the bomb has already been planted, he can still get important information from the radar, such as if his teammate spots out anyone or adjusts his positioning and isn't watching his catwalk all of a sudden. A lot can happen all of a sudden, and sometimes your teammate just doesn't have enough time to call it out. But rounds like this next one are a little bit harder to explain. Now, in this clip, Surge finds himself in a 1v5 just trying to save his gun. And you don't really need to look at radar in a situation like this. After all, there's very little data that can actually be gathered. But that doesn't mean there isn't any data. For example, when he has his crosshair out there, maybe someone decides to do a little bit of a jiggle peek or slightly peeks out a little bit too far, just far enough where his radar catches it, but he doesn't quite notice it on screen. Yet on the radar it would show the dot of that player being there just a moment ago. Now, I'm not saying this is particularly the case with this round. It really is really strange, but it could just be some form of OCD. Now, another player on AKUMA who's been highly scrutinized is Sensei. Now, you can see he is also checking radar quite frequently. But even in this situation, it's a little bit more important to check the radar than in the prior situation. For example, the bomb is ticking away, he's in a 1v1 clutch, he hears footsteps, and he looks at that radar and makes sure where that bomb is planted exactly. Remember, he's only going to have one chance at being able to take down the diffuser if he decides to peek out. And he needs to pre-place where he thinks that player is going to be as perfectly as possible with that AWP. And as a sniper, I feel like this is a pretty standard mechanic for after bomb plants. Now, I'm not saying that he definitely doesn't have a radar hack and isn't just watching the CT run around the map up there. I'm just saying that I will frequently check and double check that plant spot location. Next up, we have Surge, again with another round where he's in a 1v2 situation. Now, in this situation, he again looks at the radar quite frequently. I'm not really sure what kind of data he can really ascertain from this, but I will say, back when I first started playing Counter-Strike, radar was literally a radar that just had bleeps on it. Little dots whenever you spotted someone out, but you didn't even get to see the dots when your teammates spotted people out. Radar has come so far since then. You can see every nook and cranny on the map. You can use this to remind yourself just how deep every crevice is. For example, a spot I always seem to have a problem with is on D train. When I'm playing Ivy, I don't peek out to the right wide enough to see the guy on the left-hand side up next to the wall. So I got into a habit where I checked the radar to see how deep that wall is to remind myself to go out just a little bit farther before I peek, so that I can check to make sure that guy's on the left-hand side. But then again, I've been playing Counter-Strike for so many years and have played so many different variants of the same maps, and they all kind of blur together, so it's nice to have a way to remind myself of what angles I need to pay attention to, you know, since they've changed so much over the years. Now, I really don't believe that is the case with this guy. Either it's a form of OCD, or maybe there is something shady going on. But what I can say is after analyzing these clips, I definitely don't feel like I have enough evidence to say he is definitely using a wall hack, but these kind of late round situations are definitely suspicious. Now again, another player that was talked about and has been under a lot of suspicions has been Sensei. From this angle, it feels like it's much harder to see exactly what he's looking at. But we can definitely see that he's looking up at the top left of his screen here a couple of times before he ends up looking at his screen and getting that pick and CT spawn. But that's really only a little bit suspicious just because the timing worked out so perfectly. But remember, he had another teammate alive here, so he needed to figure out what his teammate was doing as well. And that's what makes analyzing something like this really so difficult in the first place. Any good player or top level player is going to be constantly looking at the radar. Even in this situation, it's quicker to look at the radar and make sure the bomb's planted in the right spot rather than looking around for it. Though I disagree with the play that he chose to make at the end of it by pushing aggressive. This play is absolutely insane, but there is really no reason to suspect anything from it. Yes, he shot the guy through the smoke and through the edge of the wall, but that is typically a spam spot. And looking at radar on a play like this is not unusual at all, especially with all his teammates alive. Now, after looking at a few more videos on YouTube about this, I actually found this one that had a lot more suspicious clips. Like, I know this is approximately where an AWPer stands, but this molly just felt a little too perfect. And the timing of this mid-peak is just absolutely incredible. Maybe he was just clearing to get information. It just so happened that guy was running up towards Speedway. Now, this next round is absolutely insane as well. Right now, it's a 5-on-5 situation. Maybe his teammates spotted out both of these guys over near bathrooms. Now, it is common for a team to play only 2 guys over at the A site. But if you look at the radar, you can see that only 4 of the counter-terrorists out of 5s could easily be accounted for with proper information. And yet he has absolutely no concerns that there is someone in sight over by dumpster, over by bank, or over by truck. But this right here is what makes me really think something fishy is going on. And while he does pull out a smoke grenade, he mainly just sits behind this rock. After a while, he decides to peek up right as the counter-terrorist is peeking out at long and shoots him. It's like he decided not to throw that smoke just to take out the guy peeking long. It was so absolutely insane I had to watch it again. Now this next peek isn't as suspicious, but it's still a pretty interesting lineup and impossible to react to. So I guess the real question is this something he usually practices? The thing is, even if they aren't cheating, all I can say is that their timings are absolutely impeccable. Now there could be a few reasons behind this, one of which is that at this level, all teams are counter-striking each other. They're learning their timings, tendencies, rotations, their nades, their smokes, and how they go about counter-flashing.
Sergis, you know, this guy, we analyzed a lot their demos before the match.
And you can bet that AKUMA practiced and studied every team that they went against. So it becomes a very difficult situation to judge. Was there suspicious moments? Yes, of course. Can we say beyond reasonable doubt they definitely cheated? No. And it looks like they're being looked at very closely lately because, as of late, they have been under suspicion of betting on their own matches. Right now, it looks like AKUMA is denying any involvement. What I can say is that this cannot happen again. Professional leagues, tournaments, and events should be held up to stricter standards. For one, use a freaking anti-cheat. Even at LAN events, you might as well use an anti-cheat. I mean, you guys remember what happened with Forsaken. And second of all, make sure there is a delay for the Go TV. People don't need to watch the match absolutely live. Let the game be about half a round behind, if not a full round behind. After all, this is about the integrity of the game. Anyways, guys, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments down below, and as always, have a great day.